Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Soul Focus. This is my guest, Stathi. Stathi, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Brooke. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Good. Stathi is, well, he's just basically a seeker of truth, seeker of knowledge, a seeker of himself. So I've got him on the show today to hit a topic called belief systems, a fascinating topic that we often discuss and we like to dive in and pull apart the fabric of reality. Can you just give us a quick rundown of yourself, Stathi?
As you mentioned, a seeker. I actually like the way they introduced me this time. A seeker of self. More interested in knowing myself without what I've been told I'm supposed to be or who I am. Not using any particular titles or whatever we want to consider titles to be. So, yeah, someone who's aiming to understand themselves more than someone else can explain me, if you would like. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about. Explain me. So
Explain me.
explain me, like you said, basically, how to find you, how to find yourself. So what I'm getting at is, how did you go about this? Explain, expand.
Well, firstly, I didn't go about it. It wasn't a journey of truly wanting to know. So I just got to adjust my volume. It wasn't a journey about aiming to understand myself. My journey was, or before my journey began, if you like, or the path I walk these days, was more about understanding how I had a court case to go to. I wanted to represent
Yep.
myself, so it was to understand the law itself. So I wasn't into spirituality in that sense of what we call spirituality. Um, and I had a particular experience which turned my searching from the outer world to understand it and more into understanding myself at this point of time, who I am and what how I fit into my surroundings and where my
Yep.
surroundings are leading me. And why are they leading me in a particular way as well? It was more about how does something control me um, without me even knowing that I'm being controlled by it, which comes down to what you mentioned was beliefs. How did I get to believe what this world is offering me, or what I've been told is right for me and what is wrong for me, and so forth? So yeah, I started. Uh, I turned my vision around, or my vision was turned around, if you like, because I can say it that way.
Mm.
The experience I had just made me start looking within to find out, okay, who am I? What am I? Where am I? I can ask you and I can ask everybody, and they're going to tell me whatever it is that you're prepared to offer me or state based on your own knowledge of who you are. Is you're going to say to me, this is who you are. Um, I didn't want to know that. I didn't want to
Yep.
know what everyone uh, believed. Again, I'm going to start using this word. It was understanding what belief is as well. I wanted to know. I didn't want to believe any longer. Now,
Yep.
it's really interesting stating knowing because only a fool will state that they know. So I don't claim to know anything, but I do claim to believe a lot of things. But now this is where it gets into what is it I believe?
Yep.
How did I come to believe what it is that I'm convinced is a knowing? You see, so it started to change the way that I saw things. Um,
So
go.
beliefs. So what's the difference between a beliefs and knowing in
A
your take?
belief, in my take. Now, for myself, a belief is about we hear something and we resonate with it. Now, we don't know this for ourselves, but we hear it. So, what we're believing is what we have heard or what we have read. So, we can
Yep.
read something, we can hear something from somebody telling us something, um, and we take that upon ourselves to say, that sounds right. It's not something that we know, it's something that we're agreeing with at that moment based on somebody else's belief, if you would like. Um, so if you have an experience, I mean, I don't know your
Yep.
experience. So you tell me your story of your experience, and then I resonate with that. So I start to believe that that is the truth. It
Yep.
doesn't make it not true. It doesn't make it a knowing for me. It just makes that I resonate with your experience. So a belief is more about um, somebody else's experience that we take on upon ourselves,
Yep.
somebody else's teachings that we take on upon ourselves. So we believe a story, for example, because somebody has said it. We don't know that story to be true. We can accept it to be true for the storyteller, but not for the reader themselves. So understanding the difference between what is my own and what is somebody else's that I've taken on upon myself.
Yep.
So a belief is something that we don't know for ourselves. We just take it on from someone. It's not a personal experience, if you like. And it's probably summing it up.
I'm sorry. Um,
Yeah.
so how do you determine what's true? What's truth and what's not?
Well, now this is a tricky one itself. What is truth? Again, who do we want to believe? Do I believe something is true for you? Well, again, how did you come across this truth? What is your truth? Is your truth something that you picked up from somebody else? Because that's not a truth. That's a belief that you have made your own. So it's true for you, but it doesn't make it a truth. Um, how would you know what a truth is? Well, that's a question that I've been asking for a very long time. How do we know what a truth is? How do we know what a belief is? So belief and truth actually work hand in hand. One's belief is true for the individual, but is it
Yep.
true in itself? Did they have the experience, or do they believe what they have read to be a truth of somebody else? So, how do we know what our truth is? Well, I think it's not about knowing our truth, because our truth is going to be something that we come to experience for ourselves. I think it's more about how do we know what is not truth? I think that's something that
Yep.
we can actually look at. What is not truth? And start breaking down and saying, okay, well, this is not true. It's true for somebody else. This is not true for me. So it's not about whether it's true or not, but what is my truth. And I think that's what it really comes down to. I cannot tell you what your truth is. No one can tell you what your truth is. No one can tell me what my truth is. I have to discover this for myself. How do I
Yep.
discover what is true for me? Well, what I do is I break down what I've been told and what I've accepted to be true based on what somebody else has said to me that this is truth. So A, B, C is truth because I've been told. Well, that doesn't make it truth for me, though. It makes it a truth for somebody who's told me it's the truth, but
Yep.
that's not my truth. So how do I know what my truth is? What I aim to do is break that down to discover for myself, where have I found, where have I, at what point did I make this my truth, and how did I make this my truth? So by
Yep.
looking at that itself, did I read it? Well, it's not my truth, it's somebody else's truth. Did I hear it? That's not my truth either, because that's somebody else's truth that I've heard. So now I'm not looking at whether it's their truth or not. It's not my truth, because it's not my personal experience. My personal experience is my truth. The interpretation of my personal experience, now that is something that gets a little bit trickier, because to state that I'm interpreting something that is my truth, again, this interpretation that I'm using, which I'm using a particular language, is this. Now, how deep does one want to go? Because this is
Yep.
where it takes it for me. As I start to look at the words that I'm using, how do I know that these words truly represent what they are? Well, the way that they're represented to me, well, they're not my words, so I have to make that very clear. I am using words based on a system.
Yep.
We call that education. So we have a collective language, if you like. So we use this collective language to speak and to express ourselves, express our feelings, express our emotions. Now, every word that I'm using right this moment is not my word. These are words that I'm using. Are they my truth? When I say to you, my feelings, for example, is that my truth that I'm speaking? For myself, it's not. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you using those words are right or wrong, but for me, I know that when I use the words feelings, they're not my words. So the word feeling is not mine. That is not my truth. Senses. Well, I have senses, I've been told. So I
So
start
you're
to look at
saying
that.
feelings are
Okay.
external.
Well, what I'm saying is that the word itself is not truly expressing, but I'm using a word based on the association that I've been given.
Yep.
So I speak, Now, something is occurring. Well, using this language now, using the tools that I have, which is the language is a tool. Something that I'm feeling. Okay, well, the moment that I say I'm feeling something, we have an association to the word called feeling.
Yep.
What is this word? So I don't look at what I'm feeling, for example. I'm looking at why am I using this word feeling? What does it mean? Where did I learn this word? Is this my word? Or is this a word that I have been told to use based on a experience that I'm having? So I can work with an experience, although I'm still using words, understanding and breaking it down. I have this thing called experience. Okay, I'm
Yep.
using a word called feelings to express the experience. So, what is the true experience, though? Whereas the word feeling is not mine, and here we go with beliefs. Do I believe my ABCs? Well, I know that they're a belief. Do I believe that my ABCs create a language? I know that they do create a language, but it's still a belief. Every word that I use, every association is based on me believing that the word and the association is true based on my educators.
Yep.
So I don't know this to be true. I'm just accepting blindly, and this is where the blind belief is. I accept blindly that what I've been told that this word is associated to and it means is true. But now this is where we start. What is truth? Is your truth my truth? Or is your truth? Now, how did I come to accept it as a truth? What was it that was used? I was a child. I accepted an adult to be telling me the truth. So is truth based on ignorance and what we believe to be truth ignorant? So that's what I question.
Yeah.
That's what I look into. It's not whether it is or isn't. How do I know what truth is? Well, again, all of this doesn't really explain who I am because as much as I'm speaking about a language, I'm aiming to understand who I am. The truth of, using the words again, using education. My truth, me. Who am I? What
What
is
do you
it that
think
I
is
am?
important?
What do I think is important?
No, why do you think knowing who you are is important?
Um, that's an interesting one because why do I think it's important? I don't know whether it's important for anyone. Why is it important for me? Only through an experience that I had 22 years ago do I think this is important. Because the experience I had showed me something that no book or person has ever been able to talk to me about.
Yep.
No one has expressed it to me. No one has said that this is what it is. So I had a particular experience which I've never seen before, heard before. There was just nothing there that explains what this actually is. So that is where my journey began to understand what it is that I am, where what I experienced was a contradiction to what I believe. So every belief that I have, that experience I had contradicted it, contradicted the words that I use, contradicted the moments that I live, contradicted what we believe to be a tomorrow, contradicted what we believe to be a yesterday, even contradicted the memories that I have.
That must
So
have been a culture
everything,
shock.
I don't
Must have been
think
a
that
real culture
sums it up,
shock.
but I think you're correct. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. It was something that just broke away anything that I could hold on to. I was left raw, naked, completely unawares to where I am, who I am, what I am, why I am. So the questions arise: Who am I? Where am I? Why am I? So I went
Yep.
into looking to all of that. So the one thing that I did, which was important, was to understand. To know who I am, what I started to do was to understand what I'm not. To understand what belief is. This is where belief comes into it.
Yep.
Um, I believe things. Well, I was told. So what I wanted to really know was who am I without using what I have been told. Okay, so I broke it down. We have an alphabet. We create a whole language out of this alphabet. This alphabet we use to describe what we have. As I was doing this, certain things started to click, if you'd like. I had these little aha moments or light bulbs. Okay, am I what I have? Well, that was a question that I had to truly ask myself. If I have something, do I become what I have?
Yep.
Well, the answer for me is no, I cannot be what I have. So if you gave me something and I have it now, Do I become that which you have given me? Not possible. Okay, so I'm not what I have. If I'm not what I have, that dismisses anything that I have now. So what do I have? I have an education. So automatically, the moment that I stated that I have an education, I can no longer be associated to an education because I have it. So I worked it on trying to keep my mind sane as well. Was
Yep.
okay. Well, education. What I had to do was change the term education and accept it to be a form of communication, which I am aware it is, but it is no longer something that is controlling me because education is a tool. So again, every time I'd come up with see something clearly for myself, I had to change the way that I was looking at it, and I had to ask myself, "Am I a tool, or do I use a tool?" So
Yep.
understanding that a tool cannot use us, but we can use tools. Well, acknowledging that I am capable of using a tool. So
Yep.
anything that I acknowledge as a tool, I no longer am that tool, whatever the tool is. So anything I have, I'm not. And I'm not any tool that is there to be used. So anything that can be used is a tool. So some one thing from another. Go, you're about to ask something.
No, I was going to say, well, then how? So basically, uh, our belief systems, our beliefs, just educations.
Our belief is convincing us that well, it would be like me trying to convince you that you are something. Well, it's not really convincing you because if I tell you over and over again when you're a child, because children are like sponges, as they tell us,
Yep.
they absorb everything. Children rely on adults to guide them on the right path. So if an adult, which we send our children to an educational system, a system, that teaches
Yep.
them, they no longer trust their parents, but they trust the educational system. So that's why they believe they know everything. But children actually absorb what they've been told. So the educational system is telling them they are this and they are that and so forth and so forth. So the children start to believe that. They grow up without questioning because you put your hand up, they tell you don't put your hand up. Um, don't ask silly questions. Don't do this. Don't do that. So, stop imagining and so forth and so forth. So we actually go about our lives not really questioning anything. We just accept things. That's
Accept
the
things.
belief. Yes, we accept them because we were told that this is how things are without questioning whether it's right, wrong, true, lie, so forth. That's how
So yeah,
beliefs are
well, I
formed.
guess questioning is a very healthy thing then.
I have to question everything. There's nothing that
Mm.
is every question, anything that one comes across and sees something, no matter whether you believe it to be what you're seeing, question that belief. Are you seeing what you've been told? Question it. Are you
Yep.
seeing it because someone told you that's what it is? Question that. Are you hearing something because someone told you that's how you're going to hear it? Question it. Is that what it is?
I mean, all we
How
know
do you
is what
know?
or what we know is what we've experienced.
Well, our personal experiences. Now, my personal experience took away what I would consider beliefs, but it didn't leave me with an answer because the only answer I had was I know that I'm not the belief system. I know that I'm a contradiction to myself at this moment. So I wasn't a
Yep.
contradiction to anything other than to myself. Everything I believed was just thrown in the bin and said, well, now I was left with no words. I had no way of describing myself or speaking about myself or explaining to anyone this is what I've experienced because I could hear those words myself. And
Yep.
those words were not resonating with me any longer. I'm not the word. I can speak words. So I'm left with more questions. I was left with, well, it wasn't more questions, but an interesting question itself. I'm experiencing, there's all these experiences, okay? Language is an
Yep.
experience, feeling is an experience. All of these things are experiences. Who is it that is experiencing this? This is where it all started to get
Mm.
to a very different way of seeing things for myself. Okay, I know that I'm seeing, but I'm not what I see.
Yep.
So I couldn't be what I see now. I know that I can hear, but I'm not what I hear. So again, now I'm starting to externalize everything because sound is coming from there and coming to me. Now, the have is the interesting one as well because you go about, as I was going along, trying to discover and understand what was actually happening to me from that stage. Oh, you have a soul, or you have a body, or you have this and you have that. I've already determined for myself that I can't be what I have. So if I have a body, who is it that I am that has this? If I have a soul, who is it that I am that has this thing called the soul? You have a spirit. Well, who is it that I am that has this? So these
Hmm.
things can be had. If they can be had and I have them, who is it that I am that has this? I'm not
Because it's
claiming
just a
ownership
tool.
to it, you see. So now all of a sudden, all these things around me, what is it that I am that has this? So yes, I can acknowledge now that these are experiences. I can speak about many experiences. Seeing is an experience, feeling is an experience. Our senses are experiences. Again, this is the way that I see it. The body has senses. If I have a body and the body has senses, who am I that is having all this, that is experiencing these?
So technically, we could never know from our standpoint.
Well, what we can know is what we are not. You see, we cannot know who
Okay.
we are because what we can do is look at what we are not. And this is what I will say to many. Know that which you are not to know who you are. Because once you start to acknowledge what you are not, what you're left with is that which you are, which has got nothing to do with that which you are not. It's a language in itself. Okay, you are not the TV. So we can simplify it as saying you are not what you see. You are not what you hear. You are not what you feel. You are doing all these things. You are seeing, you are hearing, you are feeling, but you're not that. So all these are experiences. You are that which is experiencing it. What is the experiencer?
The one that's
Not the phone.
experiencing.
Again, you see, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because the one that is experiencing, yes, what is the experiencer? Because everything at the moment is an experience.
Yep.
Everything we do, speaking is an experience. And the words that we use, even the word experience is not my word, but it's the closest I can come to simplifying things for myself.
Yep.
What is the experiencer is a good question. It's the same as who am I? Who am I
Who am I?
without, yeah, who am I? Are you
No
what
idea.
you've been told? Are you what you were told? Are
No.
you, see, it doesn't matter which way we go. Everything that you're told is based on the alphabet.
Yep.
We have a dictionary. Pull up a word in the dictionary. It doesn't matter what word it is. Any word in that dictionary is not yours. It's a word that you've been told. Okay, so you're given the word and you're given the association to the word. You know,
And
my famous one, my popular one is what is a cat?
yeah,
What is a cat? How do you know what a cat is?
we've been told what a cat is,
That's
and we
right.
assume that they were telling. We assume that they're telling us the truth. Maybe
So
the cat
what we
has a different name
know,
for itself.
so see, it's not that we know what a cat is. We believe what we've been told a cat is. So we can't say it's a cat, but we believe it because no one's really questioned that. Just truly question. You know, what is a
Yep.
moon? What is an actual moon? And how do you know what a moon is?
I guess it's just a reference point that we give it.
Something that we call, someone told us. Again, we haven't questioned it. We've just accepted that we say moon and we point up into the sky to this bright light. Is
Yep.
it a bright light? Is that a light? How do we know what a light actually is? How do we know what a soul is? How do we know? See, this is the difference between knowing and believing. You either
Yep.
believe what a moon is because you've been told that's what a moon is, or you know that you've been told and you believe that that is a moon.
Yep.
That's the difference. I know that I've been told and I believed what a cat is or what a moon is or what anything else is. But what are they? If we're just accepting that that is what they are because we haven't questioned those who told us that,
Yep.
you see, that's
It,
believing. That's knowing is that you believe. To know that you believe is a particular knowing. You can believe that
so,
you know. Sorry, you can believe that you know, or you can know that you can believe.
so I don't know that's a cat, but I know that I've experienced seeing that thing for what it is, and ask me for food every time I go near the fridge.
Well, you know that based on what you've been told, that thing that comes to you for food is called a cat.
Yep.
That's what you believe. You call it a cat because that's what you were told to call. You were told to call it. You haven't questioned that. Is it a cat? Well, if you wanted to tell me that your cat comes to you every day and says meow meow, okay, that's what your cat does, because I now have the collective education
Yep.
which states to us that this is what we're calling this animal, a cat. We call this animal a dog. We don't know that they're cats and dogs. We just believe they're cats and dogs. That's where the belief is. Without questioning it, it is a cat and dog. In Greek, it's not a cat, nor is it a dog in Greek either. So you go different languages, it's not called a cat, it's not called dog.
Then what is
But
it?
in Greek, gata skilo. Gata, gatto, skilo. Okay, so you know, so again, I have a second language. I was born in Greece. I can speak Greek. I do speak Greek.
Yep.
And in Greek, I know the associations just the same way as I know the English associations. I have words with associations to them, both languages.
So knowing that all words are bringing us back to belief system, we know that all words, we're just taking it basically on blind faith, but still using it as a reference point. How does that help for us to determine the truth?
It's not about determining the truth itself. It's more about acknowledging. I cannot tell you how to determine the truth. I'm not here to tell anybody
Yep.
how to discover the truth or this is the truth. To know, for myself, to know the truth is to know what is not a truth. Because there are more, what I've discovered, there's more of that which is not the truth than that which is the truth. But the truth itself is using that which is not the truth. So we are the
Yep.
truth ourselves. But what it is that we are ourselves is hiding behind that which is not the truth. Although we create it to be what it is, but again, this goes into a different discussion. We are the creators of our reality. The reality that we're creating is true. We are creating it. Yes, a cat is a cat because we believe it. It's a truth. It's an energy that we put out there. We are the creators of that reality around us. How we create, or how that reality has been created. Now, so again, this is a lot longer than the time that we have here. But if I was to
Yep.
say to you that you're not thinking for yourself, and what you're thinking is what you've been told to think, is how you're creating the reality around you, which is
Yeah.
based on the belief
Indeed.
that you've been given. So everything that you do, everything that you think, everything that you're saying, it comes out of your mouth. If you say that you think, and then you're speaking, or you're thinking and writing, where did those thoughts come from? What language are you writing in? What words are you using? What alphabet are you using? I'll guarantee you it's an educated language, an educated alphabet and its associations. Are they your thoughts?
So we're running on a programmed belief system. Everything we know that we've been told, it doesn't actually belong to us.
Well, if I told you that this is a cat and you constantly think of cats, are you creating what someone wants you to create, believing it's a cat? Yeah, how do you know what you'll be creating? When you believe it's a cat, but you just believe it, so you're creating that constantly. And yes, we are our own creators of our reality, and we are creating what is a house. What is a house? What is a car? Now, if we go into the phonetics of every word that I'm speaking, if we go
Yep.
to the origin of the word and its creation, if we look at every word for what it is and where it's originated from, what's it associated to?
Mm.
I'm not going to sit here telling you what they're associated to. I'll give you a word which I like the best, which is one that triggered me at the beginning as well, was psychology. Now, we all say psychology, and we have an association psychology. Well, psychology itself, its true translation is language of the soul.
Yep.
So when people hear psychology, they think psychologist. Psychology, they think of this profession. It's not a profession. It's a language of the soul. But they've
Yep.
taken it and they've put a different association to it. So people go to psychologists now. What does the psychologist do? Does a psychologist speak to your soul?
No.
Hmm,
He speaks to your ego.
that's right. So
You're
is your
trying to
soul
get
your ego? So is that which we call the soul the ego now?
Is it? That's an interesting question. What's
Is
your
it?
take on that?
So what? Yeah. Look. Oh, the ego is a little I. Ego itself, again, the ego itself was created by psychologists who termed, a psychologist, I don't need to mention names, who termed the coin ego. Now, if I was to speak to you in Greek and you asked me, who are you? I would have to say to you, ego ime, which is ego is, I am,
I
is the
am.
same, I am. Yeah, ego ime, ego am, I am. So is ego I? Again,
Well, then,
we only have, if we break, again, this is
well,
where it's to understand where the words originate from, to see why we're using them, and how we use
I
them, why
am.
we use them.
From what you've just stated before, saying I am or the ego would be, you're basically saying my belief system.
That's right.
The ego is your belief system.
The ego is your belief system. When I listen to people speaking, it's listening to the words that they use. Um,
Yep.
to understand that someone's using what they've read or what they've heard is very easily to someone who expresses their own experience. When someone is very passionate, the passion is their experience. But when someone is mimicking or repeating what they've heard because it sounds good in this new age reality or spiritualism or whatever you want to class
Yep.
it as, that's the ego. When the ego wants to know, people come along and say, "Oh, am I going to meet my soulmate?" Well, what's a soul?
Yeah.
Am I going to have are my finances going to be, well, where are you looking? Are you in the present moment? Or are you looking somewhere? I guarantee you're never going to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
What is tomorrow? Can anyone ever grab and hold on to tomorrow? You can't even hold on to this moment. It's already gone as I speak. We're in a new moment already.
Well, I assume that it's a time reference for a place that we never reach.
Uh, a time
Because
reference again.
by its definition, it's always away.
It's a
It's always
definite
away from
yes.
us.
Look, now it is a moment that's always going to be outside of this moment, but that moment will never actually arrive for us because all we have is now. If we break down time itself, time doesn't exist. There's no such thing as time. All we have is this moment expanding. We might be able to measure the expansion of this, but we don't actually truly have a time system. Now that itself is something tricky to go into because we hear if you know much about Greek mythology, um, Kronos is the devourer of all souls. Now Kronos is the god. Kronos is God, but Kronos itself, the devourer of all souls, if you like, or devourer of
Yep.
his children. Kronos represents time, and time devours all souls. All people die in time, so they tell us. Okay, so it's a lot of stuff involved in that aspect of it. Do we have time? What we have is this moment, and we do have this thing called a memory. Now, memory itself does not exist in some other time, it exists the moment that we call it. So if I want to remember what I said 2 minutes ago, or a minute ago, or a day ago, I call onto this thing called memory. Memory is not something that we have, and again, it's something that we can have, or something that people do call on. Now, think about the words that are using. We have a memory. If we have it, it's not who we are. If we can call upon it, again, what are we calling upon? What is an entity? How does one describe what an entity is? We can go again. How? Yes, it does. And that's correct. So it really depends on how we want to look at it and how far well, the ego wants to know what tomorrow is going to bring. Okay, so do you want to know about the ego? Well, listen to people who want to focus on what's going to happen tomorrow. You want to know about yourself? Well, you're going to start to acknowledge that this is all you have. This moment is exactly as it's supposed to be. You cannot change this moment. You can allow the moment to unfold and appreciate it and respect it for what it is as it's occurring.
How do
So
we
I
do that?
cannot.
How do you do that?
Well, I embrace this moment. How do I do that? This is a trick on what I actually do is listen to what I say. because as I'm saying it is occurring. What I'm saying is what's happening. I see things right now in front of me. I'm not looking outside of what this is. I'm looking at it for what it. Bless you. Um, I
Not enough
just
coffee.
not enough coffee, going to sleep. All I do is acknowledge this moment for what it is. I can see the moment unfolding, if you'd like. I don't have expectations.
Yep.
I don't know what the next moment is going to present to me. I'm not
Why is that
looking
so
at the next.
important? Why is that so important to not have expectations?
It's the knowing of who's created those expectations. The idea that something is better than this moment is not my creation. It is our educated creation. We're told to look into the future. We're told to achieve something in the future, which is not to this moment. Or is this moment the future? I'll put that question out there. I can answer it. Right now, if you can remember your past, you're in the future. And from this moment onwards, you're always creating your past.
So what? So if we have expectation, real, is that us creating?
If I've told you how to think, are you creating for yourself, or you're creating the idealist reality of those who want you to think in that particular way? Whose reality are you truly creating? If you're able to truly create, would you create a better job, or would you create yourself millions of dollars? Or do you believe that you need a better job to create those millions of dollars? Or would you create a world that you don't require the dollars
Yeah, let's go
and
with that one.
everything? You say, how do we create? What are we creating? What ideas do we create? Whose ideas? Whose reality are we truly creating? What is your true reality? What is that you truly want for yourself?
Well, we
And
know.
how, what you know. You see,
We
what do
know.
you know?
We know that
What, go.
how we could fix. There's a lot of things on the planet at the moment going on. We know we've got solutions and ideas how to fix them, but it's like everyone's like, oh, but I have to go to work. I have to pay my mortgage. I have to put food on the table. I
That's
have to
right.
do this. I have to do that. And then,
I mean, yay, party Friday night. Thank God it's Friday. You say, yes, that's correct.
yeah,
Yeah, today's Monday, so they tell us. We don't actually know it is, but we accept that it is Monday today. Oh, Monday, 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 Monday. Before we know it, it's hump day. Yay, hump day. Yeah, only 2 more days to go. Yay, Friday, party time. Oh, shit, I've got to be back at work on Monday. So everyone's
mm.
pre-thinking. Everyone's thinking ahead of themselves. Everyone's thinking about, I can't wait till Friday gets here. Friday gets here, oh, shit, I don't want, Monday's coming, I don't want to go to work on Monday. No one's actually here in this moment. They're
Oh, you
thinking
start.
about what they have to do the next moment. Always thinking about, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. The mind, the monkey mind, jump here and jump there and jump everywhere.
I was always found it hard to enjoy Sundays because it was like I got to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
It made it harder to enjoy it and relax.
Sundays is like, it seems as though Sundays, everybody has this something to do Sunday. They got to rush because, excuse me, Friday came, partied, Saturday hungover, partied Saturday night, Sundays come, and I got to mow the lawn, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and and I can't do it all, and Monday's coming, I've got to go to work on Monday. When does the mind stop? At what point do you stop and just stand there and just, I'm here, I'm right now, this moment. I can feel myself, I can see, I can smell the flowers, I can feel the cold, the warmth, whatever it is that that moment is presenting. How do you just appreciate what it is in the moment? How do you just accept the moment for what it represents? This moment can provide us with so much. We have to get out of our head. Everyone's, I hear this ascension, ascension, ascension. Everybody wants to ascend, ascend, ascend to where? You're already in your head. How about come into your heart? Descend to your heart. Come to your heart level. What does your heart truly want? Does it want the tomorrow? If you want a tomorrow, you're not in your heart. Your heart is accepting and embracing the moment for what it is. It's accepting it for everything that it has to provide you. Everything you need is right this moment. There's no right or wrong here. None of this should or should not be. It just is. This is this moment for what it is. Everything you have around you right now, Everything that has happened, the heart accepts. That's exactly how it's supposed to happen. Why did it happen that way? Does it matter? It happened that way. You can't change it. Don't try to change it. Look at it. What did you learn from it? If you haven't learnt anything from it, it's going to repeat itself. It will repeat itself until you can finally accept. Okay, I can accept that. I don't know what it means. You don't have to know what the lesson is. You can just accept everything happens for a reason. It happened exactly as it's supposed to. And whatever it is that I'm to learn
Yep.
from it, it will be presented. It's not going to be presented tomorrow. It's going to be presented the moment that you let go of all the thoughts in your head and you can just sit with yourself. Meditate. Meditating is this moment. People want to go and, oh, for crying out loud. We are here. This is our present time. We're in the moment right now. Yeah, you can go into your head and probably go somewhere traveling into some dimensional reality that someone's created for you, some guidance that you got and said, okay, if you focus on this and you're going to head off this way and you're going to come and encounter this. So you're creating what somebody is telling you anyway. Don't try to go to silence. Uh, don't try to meditate. You are meditation creating your reality. You are silence creating or being aware of the noise. And once you understand you're creating the noise yourself, you'll be able to control that noise as well.
Yep.
In the
Well,
center, go.
Well, I always tell people to start with meditation because it's like a basic training for being able to be present and get out of your mind. So when people are starting off,
Look, I suppose for a beginner, it's actually good to come to themselves, to actually feel themselves. Yes, meditation on that basis. I would suggest if someone wants to meditate, don't meditate about where you can go. Meditate on yourself. Understand the chakras. Understand the energy points that are within you, or you are those energy points. They're not within you. You're that energy. You are those chakras that are out of balance. So you're aiming to just increase that energy inside you. Again, we speak of inside. That means that there's an outside. Understand the chakras. Associate the chakras, what they represent. Work with your base chakra. Work your way up. If you really wanted to do a good meditation, 7 days meditation on the base chakra, 7 days on the sacral, 7 days on the solar, 7 days on each chakra. Work with the colors. Look at how many different shades of red there are, how many different shades of orange, how many different shades of yellow, greens, blues, and so forth. Do them 7 days each chakra and really focus on it. Learn as much as you can about each chakra, how it is associated to you. What you experience from that point on, I'm not going to tell you. You'll see it for yourself. See things for yourself. Acknowledge for yourself. And importantly for me, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Know that's what you're not. Don't try to know what you are. Discover what you are not. Discover how you've come to believe what you believe, whatever that belief is. Doesn't matter what the belief is. How did you come to believe it? Where did you learn it? Where did you hear it? Where did you read it? Who told you?
I noticed, as you were saying, like just even the beliefs, what you've been trained with color. I've noticed that I could watch something in black and white. I think Cindy sent me something that she saw in her house. And then because we're used to looking at the darkness, we sort of ignore it. But then I changed the color to a color that I wasn't used to looking at it in. So I changed all the black to shades of blue. And then it stood out. It stood out. Like when I was able to remove what I've been shown, what I've been trained to look at the darkness, when I moved it to something that I wasn't used to seeing it in, it just standed out. It just was like plain as day.
I'm not denying that there are things outside of us. I'm not denying that, I think earlier we were saying, and I said to you, can you see nothing? Do you know how to see nothing? Everybody focuses on this, on the something. There's always an object to put our focus on. But nothing, without nothing, that object would not exist as the object that one is focusing on. In that nothing, there is a lot to see, but we don't focus on nothing. We're always constantly focusing on something. But I'll tell you, as I said earlier, there is a lot more nothing than there is something. Learn to look into the nothing. And in that nothing, you'll be surprised and you'll be amazed at what exists in nothing. Believe me, nothing is not nothing just because we call it nothing.
So how do you go about that?
Okay, when you're looking at an object, it's always best to do this with two objects. And I'll suggest that you look at two objects. Get yourself a brick, get yourself a white wall is always good as well behind you. Put two objects on a plain wall, two objects side by side. Make sure there's space in between them. Now look at the objects. As you're looking at those objects, see them as two separate objects, but have a look at what's in between those two objects. Then have a look on what's on the side of those two objects. Then have a look at yourself where you are looking at the two objects. Then you'll see that there is more nothing in your space than those just two objects.
So it's like the same when you train yourself on auras. You start practicing on auras, a similar sort of thing. You look past
it. Is. You got to look past what you're seeing, because this is where they say, where many say it, where focus goes, energy flows. I state it, where focus goes, energy grows. What you focus on, you give energy to, so it gives it more life. If you focus on a tree, okay, the tree is there. You know, if you go into a forest, for example, and there's just hundreds and thousands of trees, and then you set your focus on just one tree, it will stand out more than the rest of them. You're giving it energy. And that's why it stands out more. Now, if you start to focus on nothing, which is the space between the trees, you'll give energy to it and you'll see it for what it is. You know, nothing is, there's a lot more nothing than there is something. And the more you focus on nothing, the more you'll see what nothing contains. It's not for me to tell you what's in there. It's not for me to create a vision for you. I'm just saying, just look at the nothing. Acknowledge the something that's there, but acknowledge that there is more nothing than there is something.
So you don't want to give us a belief system on nothing?
I have no interest in creating a belief for anybody. I'll tell you that you believe, you know, if anything, the only thing that I truly do is break people's belief. As I said, I have no interest in creating a belief. I have no interest in titles. I have no interest in any of that. The name that I use, Stathi, is the name that was given to me at birth. That's it. You know, I don't even know. I don't have a name, in actual fact. If I was to go for a spiritual name, I don't even believe in spirituality. I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. I'm not an atheist. There you go. So I'm none of those. I'm just me. Me being me. And that's all it is. I just have a different way of seeing things, and I share what I have experienced, and I experience this every single day.
So what would be a good way? How would your ideals on how to have a look at, say, you have a belief system or you've been taught something? How would you go about breaking that down? If you were telling someone, this is how I break it down to see if it's a truth for me.
How do I break it down? Well, how did you come to, first thing is to understand the language that you're using. Where did you learn that? The moment that you acknowledge that you've learned a language, okay, so you understand for yourself that you're using a language, ABCs is very simple to you, whatever language it's in. Where did you learn that? Okay, so start there. Start there. It's not yours. That language itself is something that was given to you. So are you, that's what you have, or that which you've been given.
So even the construct on a whole language can determine
everything else.
Manifest.
Yes.
How we think and manifest.
Well, we think we want $1 million. Well, do we really want $1 million, or is that what we believe? Because we've been told that this is what you need to have life. Do I want to be rich? Well, that automatically states that you're not rich. Do I want to be healthy? That's automatically stating that you're not healthy.
Yeah, define rich.
Do you want something outside of the moment? Can you be grateful for what you have? But to truly understand, just really, well, you know, I leave people with this, and I know you've heard me say this a few times. Now, before anyone goes and answers this question, really think about what you're going to answer, but listen to what I have to say, what I'm saying right this moment. What did you know before you were educated? Do not answer with your education. Now, really think about that. What did you know before you were educated? Do not answer with your education.
We're waiting to people to type in an answer with their education, aren't you?
Hey, everybody does it. Someone along the lines is thinking right this moment, nothing, nothing, nothing. I didn't know anything. Oh, I knew something. I knew spirituality. No, you're still using your education to answer whatever it is that you think is an answer to that question is your education.
I guess that's why the Zen masters, you ask them a question, they just give you like another 5 questions.
Ask yourself everything, every word. I break it down like this. There's a book. The whole book, the book is created by chapters. Chapters are created by paragraphs. Paragraphs are created by sentences. Sentences are created by words. Words are created by letters. Where did you learn the letters? So once you understand that what you are, what you're thinking, or what you're aiming to answer is your education that wants you to answer in a particular way. We're all educated. I'm aware that I'm using this tool right this moment. I'm aware of the language that I'm speaking at this moment. I could speak to you in other languages, but you wouldn't understand them. So there's no point. There are many languages that we can speak. When we let go of what we believe, that's which we are, deep within, not what anyone's going to tell you, not what I'll tell you you are. Doesn't matter who tells you. It's irrelevant. That's what you know for yourself. No one needs to convince you. No one needs to tell you anything about who you are. You are. And that's what you truly are, is that's what you know for yourself. And when I say no, the one thing that you'll always completely repeat to everyone, I know nothing.
I do.
And that'll be the truth. That is my truth. I don't know anything. I really don't. I know that what I do know is that I believe these words to represent what you are understanding right this moment.
I guess I guess in absolute truth, that's all we've got, really, isn't it? We don't know.
Yeah. I'm not presuming to know something. I'm not presuming. I hear many people speaking about. There was one. Where is it? Something about. What if all the noise is spirit en masse wanting attention? What is spirit? How do you know that word spirit? Can you show it to me?
Yeah.
Can you tell me that? Yeah, we say spirit. Is it a negative spirit? Is it a positive spirit? It's a spirit. Is that what you are? Okay, if you want to class yourself to be something, good.
Is it
But
an
I
entity?
guarantee you, what
is
is
it
an
consciousness?
entity?
What is it? We don't know. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I'm like, if I ask you any more questions, I feel like we will go a lot of topics there, a lot of topics, but it's just good to have a look at, understanding and really, because I enjoy the talks that we have when we pull apart everything and just dissect it and go, damned if I know.
Yes, and you're correct. I mean, we can go on for hours, which we do, go on for hours and hours and hours. And this is not, there's a lot more questions in what I've stated, and there's a lot more statements in what I've stated as well. And in the questions, there are more questions, and it just keeps going with questions and questions. This is not something that can be just answered in 50. Well, we've been 55 minutes, 56 minutes on. Cannot just be answered. And yes, I can state it as clear as I can. But I also do know that I do not aim to confuse, but I also know how confusing it can be at times.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, Stephanie. I guess when we experience it, we'll know, but we don't really know until we experience it. And have we experienced it? That's the $1 million question. But thanks for coming on the show tonight at such short notice. And thanks again.
Thanks, Brooke.
Have a
It's
good
always
one,
lovely,
everyone.
mate.
No worries. Okay, see everyone, and I'll see you next week for Soul Focus. And in half an hour time, not another reading show starts. Okay. See you, people. Bye.
See you. Thank you.